from a customer standpoint, they were not being offered future wealth. They were being offered a product for a price, and they made a decision. And a recent example of this is AdvoCare. In 2017, AdvoCare, which is mostly a United States MLM, they did about $750 million in 2017, $750 million, okay, a lot of money. The FTC started looking at them, and by 2019, instead of going to trial, AdvoCare agreed to get rid of the MLM model, go to direct sales. The owners of the company agreed never to ever do MLM for the rest of their lives, and the same with a couple of the very high-level AdvoCare distributors. They paid a $150 million fine, the company did. And today, because they're direct sales instead of MLM, instead of being $750 million, they're about $50 million in 2020. That was their volume. So they're less than 10% of the size, which shows you it's a measure of the actual market demand for their products. And I would say that pretty much any MLM would have similar numbers if they were forced into a direct sales model, and they really should be forced into a direct sales model unless they can prove that they have retail sales to non-customer or to non-distributors. So anyway, I think we're very much in agreement on these points. Glenn, did you have any other points?
Yeah, I think it's a very key important thing to note here is that nobody joins, well, certainly here in Australia with Amway, nobody joins Amway in Australia to get a discount on the product. That just quite simply does not happen. People join because they think they're going to become rich. And I think that's easy to prove too, because you've just got to look at what percentage of people buying the products today will be buying them in a year's time. And, so if you use the argument of some people are just joining for a discount, well, what about cost? Do you guys have Costco over there?
Yes.
All right. So people join Costco and pay a membership fee for a discount, and they don't have they can actually retain their customers. Amway can't retain their customers. Amway's business model is you've got 108,000 people buying products today, and 90% are going to quit within 12 months, but who cares? We'll get another 90,000. Costco's business model is if we've got 108, we're going to keep 90% of them, and then we've only got to replace 10% of them.
That's right. And the reason Amway loses their customers, whether they're distributors or customers that just want a discount, in both cases, they're paying more for the products, even with the discount, than they could buy at Costco. And they eventually realize that, and they go, I'm out of here. And that's why you have that high turnover rate with Amway versus Costco, is because the products are so overpriced that people just get the idea of, hey, I'm out of here. Peter, we had, I think a couple months ago, that guest on our show that lived in Las Vegas, and she moved up to Spokane, Washington, to be closer to her upline, and she had her relatives buying products initially, but that only lasted for a month or two. She said, after a month or two, my family that wanted to support my business said, hey, we can't afford to keep buying these products because they're so overpriced. So that's just one example of the fact of what we're illustrating here. So, yeah.
Right. And just from a salesperson's perspective, one second, Glenn. From a salesperson's perspective, sometimes we talk about price. So, I used to sell a quote-unquote expensive product. So there's probably, and we might be painting with broad strokes here, there's probably examples in the catalog where it's a superior product. You can't find it anywhere else. It's competitively priced. They should be, they could be buying it anywhere. So there may be exceptions to the rule towards the overpriced product comments that we're making, but those are the exceptions to the rule. Like you might find Amway might have cookware, and their cookware might be $700, and that cookware might be worth $700, and that cookware might last for 30 years or 50 years or whatever, might be passed through generations. But that's kind of like the exception to the rule. Sometimes, like when you're talking about, dishwashing detergent, where quality might not necessarily make a big difference, or where you might be able to find an eco-quality laundry detergent somewhere else online or in a retail store for similar pricing, it just seems like many times the products are overpriced, and the demand is that you have to be loyal to your brand. So you're forced into buying a brand product that you probably wouldn't if it were a regular decision without being blemished by being part of the brand. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that for anybody that might be listening in. There might be some exceptions to the rule, but the majority of the times they're kind of overpriced products. So back to you.
Yeah, in fact, I actually did that, Peter, when I was in Amway. After I found out about the tool scam, I decided I would look for Amway products that were competitively priced to make that part of my, marketing promotion. And I did find a handful. That was a very small handful compared to most of the products, but they did exist. And I was going to try to leverage that, for all it was worth. Now, the problem is it's such a small percentage of the Amway products, it would have been hard to produce significant volume from those products. So it was definitely a challenge. But you're right, there are exceptions to the rule. And I own the Amway Queen Cookware, or iCook, as they call it now, and it's good stuff. I stand behind it as far as being really top-notch cookware. Now, I don't think it's worth what Amway charges, but I do encourage people to, go online, go on, eBay or Amazon and find it at a massive discount, because it really is good stuff, in my opinion. Now, I got razzed for that, for saying that statement I just made about the cookware on another Anti-MLM Facebook group, because I'm not allowed to do that on their group. So, the anti-MLMers out there, to me, are pretty, strident and extreme as the pro-MLMers. They just don't look at all the facts. But, Glenn, do you have any more comments?
Yeah, I think here there's only really two possible outcomes. Number one is that I'm wrong and people do join for a discount. And if that's the case, the fact that the people who are joining for a discount are all quitting almost instantly, like not quitting but stop buying products, that proves that the products aren't value for money, and the customers just aren't happy enough to continue buying. So that's option number one. Option number one is that people are joining for a discount, but then they're unhappy, so they stop buying for a discount. But I think the second option, which is the one that I think is what's happening, is people saying, all right, I'll spend an extra $100 a week or $50 a week on my groceries, but who cares, because I'm going to make $1 million. And when they talk about that $500 rule you were mentioning before, that's got to be factored in. So, all right, it only costs $400 to join, but the person is then saying, okay, I'm going to spend an extra $50 or $100 a week. So the real business cost is the extra, say, $50 a week, so that's $2,500 a year, plus the $500. And that's sort of, so they're not getting you, they're getting you with a startup fee, and then they're getting you with an extra, say, $50 a week.
Yeah, they're living by the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. That's kind of how I look at it. It's kind of a loophole, if you will. It's kind of a place where they can, take advantage of the law and still be legally okay. But if you look at it ethically or morally, it's like, no, that's not the intent of the law. And you guys are just, circumventing it by using your little tricks and everything. So I guess Peter, we're kind of at our hour and a half mark here. I'd love to have Glenn back again, whether it's next week or the week after, whenever he's available, if he would like to come back and we can continue this discussion. How does that sound to you guys?
Perfect for me. Glenn, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, yeah.
Yeah,
and then since we have you on from Australia, it'd be also interesting just to find out some of the difference. I always like to ask people that are coming from different areas of the country a little bit about how the economy is, the vaccines, all the crazy stuff that we see about Australia. Maybe you can give us a little bit of insight as far as that's concerned. It's crazy.
We're in the lockdown capital of the world. I'm in Melbourne. We're completely locked down.
It's insane.
You cannot do anything here.
So, Scott, Scott, I'd love to hear about that stuff too, because I think that's really great that we have a nice personal exclusive opportunity to be able to talk about that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. We could continue tonight if you want, or we can do that in a future